So it was a two-part question, and the second part, well, I'll read the question. I struggle to fully understand the concept of being emotionally neutral, letting go, and still meditating every day to connect with my spirit baby. If through meditation I focus every day on my baby, I connect with it also emotionally. So what does it mean to let go and be neutral? The second part is I'll address right now, just because it's a quick answer. I remember you said that it is counterproductive to tell myself something like, if it happens, it's okay, and if it doesn't, it's also okay, referring to getting pregnant or not. But isn't this lack of attachment to the outcome being neutral? So that is correct. It is being neutral if you can go one way or the other, where you're not attached to whether or not you get pregnant or not. So I either miscommunicated, which I do often, because when I'm talking, when I'm saying something, a lot of times my thoughts are already ahead, like of where my mouth is. So sometimes, like, I don't even realize that I've said something that contradicts what I'm actually thinking. So that may have been very possible. You misunderstood me, or I missaid something. So you are correct in that if you can go both ways in terms of if you're okay if it happens and you're okay if you're not, that's emotional neutrality, and that's really what you're striving for. Okay. All right. So to the bulk, to the first part of the question, and that's really where I'm going to spend most of my time today. I teach women how to manifest your baby. That means calling in the consciousness of your unborn child, what is referred to as your spirit baby. And that's what I talk about throughout this channel. The spirit baby is the consciousness of your unborn child. Your baby the physical body is conceived at fertilization, but the soul is already here. It doesn't just magically appear when conception occurs or whenever you think it occurs. It's already here. It's it's a divine being. They already exist. And so part of helping you to manifest your baby is to call in that baby and having that consciousness materialize into a physical body. So it's kind of a two-step process. This paradigm is going to require you to shift your perception of reality from the physical 3D world of what we can see, touch, hear, taste, and smell, the senses that our bodies perceive with our physical organs. When we move past the physical world, we talk about things, including your baby, as energy, not physical matter. So by now, you've all heard of Nikola Tesla, for which Elon Musk's car company is named after. He was a brilliant scientist, an engineer, and he is quoted to have said that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So one of those secrets is going to be how you manifest your baby. In order to do that, you're going to have to understand some concepts so well that you embody them, you live and breathe those ideas. One of those concepts is that of being emotionally neutral and letting go. They're actually intertwined, because if you're emotionally neutral, you're not attached to any outcome, which is the letting go part. And then how do you do that while you're connecting with your spirit baby in meditation, the way that I'm teaching you with some of the other videos, because they do sound contradictory. Being emotionally neutral means that you don't let the obstacles keep you down. A failed cycle or your period coming has little or preferably no effect on your emotional stability. If and when it does bring you down, you get back up quickly as you can. You also place very little importance in any particular cycle. Even a fertility treatment, which I know, invested a lot of time and money into. However, it needs to be treated the same way as any other cycle, just as your regular normal cycle. Learning to drop the importance and staying emotionally neutral is the hardest part, but it is the most important part. The more importance you give to a cycle and therefore an outcome, the more likely you will get what you don't want or fear, because your focus is not on the positive result. Typically, it's actually on what you don't want. So for a fertility cycle, often what women are thinking is that they don't want the cycle to fail. as opposed to focusing on the baby as the end result. The difference is very subtle. And if you can really see that, that's really where you can grasp how reining in your thoughts and mastering your thoughts is so important, because it is so subtle. That difference between not wanting the cycle to fail versus focusing on the baby, which is the outcome, which is the reason why you're doing that cycle, which is the solution. So if you think about it, for many women, their attention is on avoiding failure, not the actual result of the baby. So because you're trying to avoid something, in this case, a negative pregnancy test, the frequency you're sending to the universe is failure, and what you bring in will match it. The universe doesn't hear, I don't want a negative pregnancy test. It only hears a negative pregnancy test. It doesn't hear the I don't want part. If I tell you, don't think about a pink elephant, what do? You're thinking about a pink elephant. You tell a kid, don't touch that. What do? They touch it. Instead, you tell them what you actually want them to do. Keep your hands by your side. Keep your hands in your pockets. Keep your hands in my hands. You tell them what you actually want them to do. You don't say it in a negative term, because they hear only the essence of the message, not the don't part. So going back to IVF, that's why I always recommend women to wait until they're ready to do a fertility treatment, when it feels right to them, when it feels like the logical next step, and not because they feel like time is running out. Time is not your enemy. Your beliefs about time is your enemy. So if you can maintain the emotional neutrality, you automatically let go of the outcome. In this case, the need for the baby to show up. Needing something comes from fear and scarcity, and you're looking for something external out in the outside world to fill a hole within you, to fill that emptiness. So you're holding frequencies in your bodies that are making it difficult for the babies to come in. That fear is a difficult energy, and it's a difficult frequency for the baby to break through. On the other hand, wanting something comes from fullness and abundance, and it attracts a similar energy to you. So when you align your mind and your heart via emotional detachment and letting go, the baby will come, because now you're in resonance with them, because they're high frequency energy. They're high frequency in the sense that they're not limited by a physical body yet. So they are pure energy. You have to shift your energy up so that you meet them, because they're not going to come down to meet you until they have a body. So that's your job in terms of releasing that negativity and the fear, and shifting towards the positive aspects of your life and your desire. When you're connecting with your spirit baby, you should be coming from a place of wanting to connect with them for the sake of the connection, not to get them, not because you need them to come. It's because you're serving them. They want to come in. That's why they're there. That's why they're connected with you. When you send out the call to have a baby by having this intense desire for having a baby, they answer that call and they just show up. They're there. There's nothing more that you need to do in the sense of you don't need to rope them in. They're already there. That your job is to materialize that soul into a physical body. So don't come from a place, so just know that they're there. Don't come from a place of need for yourself, where you're saying, I need you to come in so I can feel better. And you may not be saying that out loud, but that's the message that you're giving into the universe. Instead, come from a place of service. How can I help you, my baby, come forth? What do you need from me in order to feel safe enough to come forth? And that's how you can stay emotionally neutral and let go of the outcome while you're connecting with your spirit baby. It boils down to whether or not you can control your neediness and shift to helping them come forward for their sake, not for yours. Your baby is not really your child. That baby is an ancient and magnificent divine being. Everyone comes in that way. Your job as a parent is to raise them so they don't kill themselves by starvation or exposure to the elements before they get old enough to create their own lives. And that's a very high calling. They are individuals in their own right. They are not many versions of you. The last thing that they are is your child, not their first. And you know this yourself. You are your own unique individual. Your role as a daughter is pretty low on your list of priorities, if you're honest with yourself. I don't think very many of you have a desire to serve your parents as one of your top 3, top 5 priorities in your life, unless they're ill and you're called to step up for that. And that's, that's totally understandable. But typically in your everyday life, you don't think about, oh, how can I be a better daughter to my parents? You're running your own life. That your baby has that same your baby has that same individuality. So try to honor that by really shifting to what is it that they need. So if you can shift that perspective of what they need love, they need safety, they need security, peace, and calm. They do not need chaos, doubt, anxiety, stress, fear. They don't need that because it's a low vibration energy and it just doesn't match with theirs. So you want to create that environment and they will manifest. Okay. And so you can create that environment in terms of doing things that raise your frequency. Doing different things of raising your frequency, it's going to be very individual. And so it's going to be things that light you up. So typically, it would be dancing or singing in the shower, in your bedroom, whatever it is. If you're like an artistic person, it could be drawing, painting, working out, going for walks, going out into nature is very high, going out into nature is very high vibration. Just really identifying the things that you really enjoy to do. Cuddling with your dog or your pets, that's a very high vibration activity as well. Great sex is something else as well. You can't do it all day long, but it serves to raise your vibration for a brief period of time. And then the longer that you can maintain that high frequency, the more that you allow them, you're creating the space for them to come. The issue is that if you're constantly going up and down in terms of your emotions, then you're not able to provide that stability and that foundation for the baby to feel safe enough to come in. And so that's really where your work is. Okay. Are there any other other things that you can do to raise your frequency would be to, this is what I do personally. I love to wear dresses. So I wear dresses as much as I can because it makes me feel very feminine. And I would really recommend that to you as well, because having a baby is the ultimate feminine activity. So embodying that feminine nature is really important. There's nothing wrong with pants. It's just, for me personally, when I wear pants, I don't really feel that feminine. I don't feel sexy. I'm comfortable, but I don't really feel that in touch with my body. Whereas when I'm wearing a dress, I feel much more in my body. Wearing a nice lingerie or underwear is also helpful for a lot of people. Wearing jewelry, I love looking at my jewelry and just really, like you could look at your wedding ring and just really remembering the proposal or the wedding itself, just the feelings that you have for your partner, your husband. Those help to raise your frequency. You can have photo albums or on your computer of different images that really feel good to you, whether they're of your family and friends or places that you want to visit or the house that you want to get. Those are all things that will raise your frequency and your vibration. And so that's really important that you do that on a daily basis. The more often that you can do that, the better. Because that will help really shift you to being more in a receptive state, because it is that receptivity when you're in a high frequency, you're much more receptive to things coming to you, to what the universe brings to you, because you become a lot more open to it. Whereas when you're stressed, your physical field of vision narrows, but also your emotional field of vision narrows as well. And so it's a fight or flight response. And so the more relaxed you are, the more open your senses become, and the more that you can absorb in terms of what the environment is giving to you and offering to you. You can appreciate the beauty of the environment a lot more when you're less stressed and more relaxed. And this is why people talk about it's important to relax, because it is, and it's part of that receiving process. The creation of a baby is a receiving process. You're receiving sperm in order to fertilize the egg. And so if you're locked up in tension and stress, that sperm is going to have a more difficult time making its journey, because your body's contracted, your body is blocked up. And it might get so blocked up that it creates masses in the form of endometriosis, in the form of polycystic ovaries, regular ovarian cysts, fibroids. That's a literal blockage of energy that has manifested on a physical level. So your reality is a physical manifestation of your frequency, of your energy, of your thoughts and your beliefs. And so if you change your thoughts and your beliefs to those that serve you and move you forward, then your reality must change as well. And it's a given. It's just, it will. It doesn't always happen that quickly. And that's where people get frustrated, because it can be a process and it can be a journey. And just, understand that it can take time for the physical reality to change enough for you to identify, oh, things are shifting. So just give it time. A lot of times when you are more aware of your thoughts, you can see the shifts actually quite quickly within a few days. You're less reactive to things. Situations that bothered you before don't trigger you as much anymore. Those are usually the first signs that things are changing. And when you see that, you're in the right direction. And then if you keep going in that direction, then your reality will start changing as well, to mirror what is changing within you. Because you want to remember that the external world is only mirroring back what you're putting out in terms of thoughts and beliefs and frequency. That's all it is. So if you want your reality to change, you can't change the mirror. You have to change yourself so that the reflection changes. And that's a really important part of taking responsibility for where you are. It's not to put any blame on the situation. This is, you accept it for where you are, what you have right now, and you just move forward. It's like, okay, I'm here. What can I do to move myself forward to where I want to be? And that's really where you identify those thoughts and those beliefs, and you change them, and you change your perspective of them. You either release them completely. If you don't, if you can either release the thoughts and beliefs and emotions that don't serve you completely, or if you can't remove them, and what's a more helpful strategy long-term is to learn to shift your perspective on it. Because the situations that you have in and of themselves are neutral. The only reason why they have any type of emotional significance to you or trigger you is because you've created an attachment to it. You've created a story to it. And so your job is to learn to clip those little stories that you've connected with the situation and what your past thoughts have been. And so this way, when you are reintroduced to that situation or something with a similar feel or similar frequency, you don't get triggered again. And so that's going to be part of what you have to learn to train your mind. These are things that are very subtle, and be kind to yourself as you're learning to retrain your mind, because you're breaking patterns of thought, habits that have been instilled in you over decades, ever since you were a young child. And so it's not going to change overnight. And so showing kindness to yourself and grace is probably the best thing that you can do on this journey as you start to open up your perception and awareness of what's possible, because you are unlimited. The only limitation comes from your own beliefs. Those beliefs may come from within yourself. They're often, usually though, they come from other people and you've taken it on as truth. Truth is only a perspective. It's whatever you believe. We know that truth is very variable depending on the person. I can look at one thing and say, give one perspective, and then you would look at the same thing and you would give your own. It's all relative. So there's no real truth in that sense. It's all relative to our experiences and our beliefs. To sum it up, basically, is to really practice the emotional neutrality of your situations. Let go as much as possible of the outcome of like a particular cycle that you're in, whether it's a fertility treatment cycle or a monthly regular cycle. Letting go of that, am I pregnant or am I not pregnant kind of thoughts. It's, you know, if you do go there, instead of feeling that disappointment, just honor your body and thank your body for doing its job, for having a cycle, for letting, for allowing your body to release anything that doesn't belong there. So shift perspective there. So it's the emotional neutrality and the letting go. Okay, that's what I wanted to say today.